Black Lives Matter Boston chapter said it made contact with Clinton staff. Huge thanks to everyone tweeting about Hole Up Hillary, HOLLUPHILLARY, Hole Up Hillary. So they are working with us. Now, Clinton staff went to meet with the activists, but pooled media will be in the room, I guess. So they'll get their opportunity, I suppose. But in any event, evidently they didn't get to ask their question. So that is the story that I wanted to bring to you about Black Lives Matter not being able to interrupt Hillary Clinton because she just wasn't gonna have any of it. Because her handlers they don't want her to have to answer a question that they don't want her to have to answer. Plain and simple. Hey, Seattle, from the Washington Times, Seattle, Washington. Now this is gonna piss off lots of people. But all I can say is don't live in a liberal city or a liberal state like this. But Seattle, Washington made it official last night, according to WashingtonTimes.com, trying to tax its way into a lower crime rate. Yes. Seattle has decided that in order to lower the crime rate in their city, they're going to tax potential criminal activity. And how do they end up doing this? How did they determine this? What did they decide to tax to try to prevent potential criminal activity and lower the crime rate? Well, the city council voted 8-0 to approve a bill that would impose taxes on the sales of both guns, as in firearms, and ammunition. Now, guns, they are going to add a tax of $25 per weapon. And ammunition, depending on the caliber, will be taxed an additional 2 to 5 cents per round. In other words, 2 to 5 cents per bullet. Again, depending on the caliber, with the money designated for research into gun violence and other anti-gun programs. So they want to tax people who want guns. You know what this is really going to do? This is going to drive everybody who wants to buy a firearm and their ammunition out of the city. It's not going to stop people from getting guns, either law-abiding citizens or otherwise. People who are looking to get a weapon for nefarious activity. I did it again. A big word. For people who are looking to do bad stuff, they're not going to bother to pay this gun tax. So even though this money is designated to try to get people to not want guns, because that's what anti-gun programs, that's what it's all about, kind of like anti-smoking. They use in many states, and they use part of the overly high cigarette tax to fund programs that try to get people to quit smoking. Well, they're going to use these ridiculous taxes here to try to get people not to buy guns and not to want guns and to give up their Second Amendment rights, and to do research into gun violence. Why would a city want to do research into gun violence? They don't want to know the truth behind it. Real gun violence anyway. They don't want to know the truth that the vast majority of gun crimes are committed by criminals who did not obtain their firearm in a legal manner. So no manner or no amount of new laws pertaining to firearms is going to prevent the criminal from getting that firearm. And especially in this country, even if they ban Even when we had a so-called ban against, so-called assault weapons, criminals still got them. That's the dirty little secret. The only people who couldn't get new ones were law-abiding citizens. Criminals still got them. And which is why the police started stepping up the type of weaponry that they obtained, because criminals still had the powerful stuff and were still obtaining it and getting it, even though there was a ban on it. So this whole notion that there's going to be some sort of drop in violence because they're going to tax guns. Well, it's only going to it may prevent some law-abiding citizens from purchasing at least as many or as many guns or as many rounds as they originally wanted, because it's going to take money out of their pocket, or they're just going to abandon going to the stores in Seattle and possibly even in Washington and just go to Oregon or Montana or something where stuff like that is not as bad. And that's look, you're always going to have these liberal idiots who are going to want to try to tell you that they're attacking the symptom. The symptom is guns, having guns out there. No. That may be a symptom. It is not the cause. The cause are various. One of which is lack of opportunity, driving people into crime. And if they're going to do crime, they want to do it as efficiently as possible while they stay alive and out of jail. So that means that they need to arm up. But yes, they don't want to tell you that or understand that or get to that point. Because if they understood that and actually emoted or if they actually said that type of stuff, then you and I would, well, the left out there would definitely fully understand that they're on the wrong side of the whole issue. And many of them would probably drop the whole issue of wanting to take away our guns in the first place. Here's something from The Hill. TheHill.com is saying that Hillary Clinton would lose the swing state of Iowa. Yeah, I guess if it came down to what they're talking about is the election. If the election were held today, Hillary Clinton would lose the swing state of Iowa to several potential Republican opponents. Now, this flies in the face of Hillary beating all 20 GOP contenders for the presidency. All of a sudden, all of a sudden that's changed. So she would lose to several potential Republican to a new Democratic-leaning company. The Public Policy Polling (PPP) survey released earlier today showed Clinton getting the worst of matchups against candidates of Marco Rubio, Scott Walker, Mike Huckabee, and Dr. Ben Carson. Now, the results are likely to be of particular concern to Democrats, given that President Obama carried the Hawkeye State during both of his election victories in 2008 and 2012. Clinton is the dominant frontrunner in the race for the Democratic nomination, while Republicans are locked in a dogfight. Well, not really. Now, in other words, there's there are four contenders, and funny thing is that all four of those contenders are right now in the top 10, right? So, and this comes after the GOP debate, and you've got Dr. Carson in there beating Hillary Clinton in Iowa. Now, look, I'm going to have to, well, I know it's just a stupid, silly poll, and it's still early. And, of course, it could go the other way really, really, really fast for Dr. Carson or any of the other candidates. Yeah, I didn't think, good old Dr. Ben would be up there, but evidently Iowans like what Dr. Carson is saying and how he's saying it. Now, I would tend to believe that, again, this is a Democratic-leaning polling company, the public policy polling company. I would tend to believe that there are other Republican hopefuls that would also give Clinton a run for her money, including the Donald. Now, because it's pretty odd that the top contender or leading GOPer would not be in this poll. So it really makes the poll kind of suspect. I'm surprised that they haven't, because they've always said, the left has always said that Jeb Bush was our best chance of beating Hillary. But even though Jeb Bush was our best chance of beating Hillary, every poll that they did showed Hillary easily beating Jeb Bush. Well, if Jeb Bush was easily easily beat in every liberal poll out there against Hillary, then why the hell would we want Jeb Bush as our nominee? Oh, he's your best chance. Oh, but he's going to lose. But he's still your best chance. So in other words, they were trying to tell us that it doesn't matter who you throw up there because Hillary is just so powerful, so strong, and so wonderful that she's going to beat anybody you got. And Jeb is your only chance, but he's not going to, even he can't do it. Well, he doesn't even appear on this public policy polling survey to beat Hillary. But yet, we're still hearing, well, Jeb is, from the left, we're hearing Jeb is probably your best bet. So in other words, they're telling us who they want as Hillary's opponent, if Hillary is the nominee, because they can beat Jeb. But they're afraid of many of the other Democratic contenders because they can beat Hillary. Or excuse me, the Republican contenders. Because they can beat Hillary. They can beat her down. Now, the results are likely to be of particular concern to Democrats, like I said. So other polls are also showing Clinton well ahead in Iowa of her rivals for the Democratic nomination. But the new survey is likely to add to the sense that Clinton could be vulnerable in a general election battle. Well, could be. Did they just... It could be? How about she's already vulnerable? And that if we actually had an administration that was interested in a Department of Justice that was actually interested in justice, she wouldn't even make it to the November election because she'd be indicted and on trial for or going to trial for crime, high crimes and misdemeanors. While she was Secretary of State, and that doesn't even include anything else that she possibly, could have been involved in. Before or after? Well, I mean, the email server thing is really kind of after as well. But so you got, and I'm thinking that if they've got those four, Rubio, Walker, Huckabee, and Carson, ahead of her in Iowa, I think that maybe Clinton's got some other problems as well. So we will have to see. But in any case, that sound means that we are out of time, and I will be back here next week because I have a speech tomorrow and some family business for the rest of the week. So until then, enjoy the best of Rod Show for the rest of the week. I'm Rod Eccles. It's been the Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.